I haven't been on my own server in so bloody long, man.
Oh, really? Funny. How's ESO going?
Oh, it's going grand, going grand.
That's good.
We had there's a big, game-wide event thing going on right now, and then some guild mates. I promised them to help them out with some other stuff. I get
Yeah,
to help folks.
nice.
So
Yeah.
you weren't entirely happy seeing all of the tons of gravel being loaded and stuff, and
Ugh, God. Like, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, at first I was trying to be. I just figured, well, he's happy that he's back in the fold with the family,
right, right,
and he's happy with what he's doing for a living, and he's excited about it. He talks about it a lot. It's okay. I don't want to hate on it. I want to hate on somebody being happy.
right,
Um,
right.
but it's just over time, it's like, dude, come on, man. How much? I don't need to know everything that you're doing every day. Sometimes I think is it just that you're excited about what you're doing, or is it because you think that what you're doing is so much more important than what everybody else is doing? Like,
I thought it was just he was excited about that, but then his demeanor and stuff, you start to think that you're right. Like he is. I'm superior because I haul gravel and stuff.
yeah,
There's something, or I work on I have a work on a big truck, and I yeah.
yeah,
You start to feel like it is a boastful thing.
yeah, exactly. Um, and then just adding in, mixing into that the occasional, Trump hate that he does,
It,
and it's
and
like,
usually it was fairly mild, and I
right,
wasn't too hung up about it. It was, I show Norley, and we're like, yeah, that's, some of the families like that. We know, Jim and my mom had a whole, hard on for Trump and all this, and
sure,
my
yeah.
mom got upset and was like in tears the one time when I talked about the big Cheeto in the White House.
I remember you telling me that, yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, "That's your president. You can't talk like." And I'm like, I've heard you diss other presidents and whatnot for crying out loud." And
Yeah.
you know, I was like, okay, but that brought her to tears, and I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting that kind of reaction, but okay.
Like actual
Oh,
tears?
yeah,
Really upset,
she
huh?
was crying. She was so upset that I referred to our dear president, our glorious president, as the Cheeto in the White House. And I wasn't even making that much of a disparaging remark. I forget what it was. Um, it wasn't like, triggering a whole political, you know, tirade. It was, I forget what it
If
was.
anything, it sounds more like just teasing about his appearance, and that's it.
Right, right.
uh, yeah, but yeah, those two things combined, it was just, and it was. This isn't the first time. Like he said other things about posting things about like Trump signs in people's yards and things like that. Like you said, they're mild. I find it annoying, but whatever. I can ignore stuff like that.
Right.
But it's the third time now that he said something like hateful and violent, and that was enough for me. And the first two times
Oh,
that he did it, I tried to be understanding, and patient, and try to talk to him and say things like, Julian, it's okay, man, but could you just chill out a little bit? Like, you're taking it too far. And I try to be understanding too because I know that I don't want to be a hypocrite. I know that I have anger problems. Um, but him, man, it's like, geez, I thought I had
but
anger problems, dude. He's off the rails.
he's made like I don't know, say threatening statements, but like burn them alive type statements and shit. He said stuff like this before,
Um,
like on this scale, not that
close to it. One time he said something about, I hope they try to come get my guns. Um, they're gonna get shot or they can, or something. I don't want. It's not verbatim, so I don't want to sound like I'm exaggerating what he said, but something to this
right, right.
effect of, I dare them to come get my guns. I'll shoot them or I'll kill them. They'll have to pry my guns from my cold dead fingers. Um, so that was a bit much for me. And then there's another one too about where he was dissing on liberals and calling them pieces of shit, twat waffles, and all this. And then I don't know. I don't want people to get the impression that I'm like a hardcore liberal because I certainly am not. But
No, no. I mean, I lean a little bit, but
yeah,
I, yeah, definitely not, a tree hugging hippie type of thing or whatnot. But I'm definitely not, the people that disagree with me should be lined up against the wall and,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
shot and stuff. And what's, I might, because I have the group thing silenced. That's what I was saying when I pinged into the new one.
Hmm.
I look at it maybe like once a week, and if it's too deep, which oftentimes it is because there's all these pictures of driveways and gravel and stuff, I don't read it, so I don't always get what's going on. I didn't look at it again until the new group started, and I was like, oh, why is there a new group? Something must have happened in the old group. And I scrolled back, a couple of messages. It's like, oh, I see what happened.
I know it sounded aggressive to come out and just say shut the fuck up, but like I said, it was the third time where he was getting violent. Somebody needs to tell him to stick him running his fucking mouth, man. Somebody needs to tell him to
Well, and
shut
that's
up.
just it. This is supposed to be the family catch up of, hey, I got a new, cat, isn't it cute? And
Yeah, yeah,
hey, Jim got his leg, worked on, it's the family updates. It's
exactly.
not supposed to be a political platform,
Right,
and definitely not a hate mongering sort of thing.
right.
Here's the funny thing too, and just I think I've mentioned it to you before, but just again, just to make sure, because of my security stuff and things that I've done in my past, there's always a chance that my text feeds and stuff are potentially being monitored.
I see.
And I advise people on occasion, don't talk about, you know, crazy political stuff. Don't talk about recreational chemistry. Don't talk about certain things when you're texting me, because that stuff lives forever too, because Verizon, the carriers or whatever, they archive that stuff. That's in storage in places.
Gotcha.
It can come back up later. Discord is not as bad. They don't capture the voice stuff, but I also don't text anything like that in, Discord chat or an email. Definitely not in text.
Right.
And I usually advise people, don't do that stuff towards me or in a channel that I'm in, because there's a chance somebody is listening in and watching or might at a later date.
Right, right. Huh. Yeah, but and then I kind of afterwards I was a little bit frustrated with Benign and Sussa. At least for a little bit I was because they seem to be I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but they seem to be implying like it's just Gavin and Julian fighting and they're both equally at fault. And I was just like, the hell are you talking about? He's the one talking about killing people. I'm just the guy telling him to shut his mouth.
Right, right. Yeah, I think they were just trying to cool it down a bit.
Yeah, you're
Because
probably
yeah, I think
right.
I think I think they lean in the same direction that he does, just not to that extreme. I don't believe so. Of burning crosses on people's yards and tar and feathering people and lighting them on fire. I don't think they're that far.
Yeah. That's why I said I
But
afterwards I said something like nobody better disagree with Julian, not if you know it's good for you. Wind up in a carpet on fire.
right? Ugh, goodness gracious.
Yeah, and then actually I texted Sussa and she ended up calling me and her and I cleared the air, so that
Oh,
was
good.
that was good.
And that shows a certain amount of adult behavior and reasonable thing. It's like, you call and say, hey man, you know, my temper got away from me and I expressed what I, really felt needed to be said. I'm sorry that it was upsetting to folks. I believe in what I said, but
Yeah.
I did not mean to, create a rift. And you can talk about that and work it out
Yeah.
like an adult. Whereas Julian is, fuck you for disagreeing with me. You're all losers.
You low
And
lifes.
yeah, and you've never done anything for me. And I'm like, the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, a lot of what he said was completely nonsensical. It started off with just I don't know where it even came from when he said when he was talking about lighting people on fire. Is it because of the Trump indictment? I don't know. He just blurted it out.
Yeah, I don't know. It must have been the indictment.
It,
But the one thing that was cracking me up is, and this came up recently, and I've been talking to like a couple of friends and Norley about it, is one of the things that Julian keeps saying, and for whatever reason, I'm not a highfalutin, talker or whatever, but he says a thing constantly that for whatever reason for me is like chewing tinfoil.
I seen.
Yes.
Yes. Dude, I noticed that too.
I don't know what the fuck it is about that word phrase, but I see it in my teeth like chill and grind, and I'm like, and I was actually gonna call like the next time I saw him at like my mom's stuff, I was gonna say something to him, be like, dude, that makes you sound like you're the guy begging for change at the 7-Eleven.
Right. I mean,
but then he's acting like he's highbrow and talking down to you and Derek, like you're losers and stuff, and I'm like, dude, but you say I sing, for fuck's sake.
yeah. And then
You should not be talking down to anybody.
Right. And then can't even spell disgrace correctly.
Oh, I know.
I don't know if you saw that one, and because C isn't exactly very close to the S on the keyboard, so I don't know if that one was accidental or not.
No, I think that was a deliberate, that he doesn't know how to spell disgrace.
Right. And like you said, dude, I'm not a great speller. I'm not a perfect talker. I don't speak perfect English. Most people don't. But there's just things where I feel like you're crossing a line into you're talking like that on purpose and you sound
Right.
stupid.
Right. There's certain ones that definitely set you apart.
Yeah.
And that is one.
Yes.
That is a huge indicator of somebody that, checked out of school at the 4th grade type of thing.
Right. It's funny you say that because I was thinking the same damn thing, but I didn't want to say anything or make because I didn't want to come off as pompous.
But it cracked me up that as I started to describe it, you're like, this one. It's like, yes. Dude, you slay me.
Yeah. Well, and then he was, yeah, oh yeah, that's right. You mentioned how he said, what have you ever done for me? That was, oh my God, all I could think about was his mom. He's got that self-centered, the world revolves around me mentality, just like his mom. And I just kept thinking, dude, I didn't know I owed you anything.
Well, and I think I talked to you that before, that's been one of my, and I'm getting a lot better with it. It's not bothering me as much with my mom stuff, but we talked about before that my mother maintains like this love ledger. And like people do favors for somebody else in the family, and she like tracks it and then borrows against it later and uses it as leverage to have you do something for somebody else for her, because somebody like Jim came out and helped me on a thing, therefore I have to help somebody else do a thing. Right. Or the one that really broke it with me and my mom, and it made where I didn't want anything to do with her anymore. It estranged us again. Was I asked for some help for Jim to come out here and do some plumbing stuff on this house. Now this is a long time. This was a long time ago. This is almost 20 years ago.
Okay.
And this was during the time when both my sons were toddlers, And my mother kept insisting that she wanted me to have them come out there to her place for a weekend, to spend a weekend out there. And she kept insisting without me being there that she got alone time with my kids for the weekend. And that just sets up creepy vibes in my head anyways, of somebody saying I want alone time with your children. That that just freaks me out. So when I asked Jim, hey, I was going to redo the plumbing in my house, can I ask you to, come out and, because him and I have done it before. It's like we did an entire house like in less than a day, redoing all the plumbing. I was like, I'd love to go that, old school like you and I used to do and blow through the plumbing on this place. And if you could pick a weekend that works for you, that'd be awesome. I'd love to, do this. And Jim was like, oh yeah, hell yeah, we'll do it this weekend. That sounds great. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then a couple hours later, I get a call from him calling me back, or no, from my mom. And my mom's like, hey, since Jim is coming out, that weekend to help you, I want you to have your kids spend the weekend at my house that weekend, or, the next weekend after. And I'm like, yeah, but my kids don't want to spend the weekend with you. And she's like, no, you need to tell your kids that they're going to spend the weekend here. And I'm like, no, I don't do that. I don't force my kids to do things they don't want to.
Right.
She's like, well, then Jim can't come out. And then I got a call back from Jim a couple hours later, and he's like, hey, Troy, I'm sorry, but I just can't, I can't come out and help you do the plumbing. And he was very very sad by it. He's like, he did not want to have to call me with this. And then I told my mom, at that time, I was like, okay, I'm not going to ask Jim for the help anymore. Just so you know, and I was like, this is something that, yeah, I've struggled with having a dad in my life for a long time because, got divorced. You guys got divorced when I was 5 years old.
Right.
Yeah, I saw my dad on a regular basis, but I didn't have that father in my, household
Right.
for a good part of my life. And Jim and I have really, bonded. We get together, and this is how, we bond and we get together and we share is we work together. I worked with him doing the plumbing and all the stuff and doing, odd job stuff. And that's how Jim and I, bond. And you're driving that wedge between us that Jim can't be my stepfather unless I make my children do something that they don't want to do and I'm uncomfortable with.
Right.
And, Jim was like almost in tears. And I was like, so, I'm not going to ask Jim for help ever again. He can ask me for help. I'll come out and help anytime I can afford the time and stuff. But if this is the way things are going to be, I am not going to use my children as bargaining chips to ask for help. And so now I'm sensitive to hearing these things. When I hear Julian saying, you haven't done anything for me.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, are you maintaining the same love ledger type of thing that, Julian did a favor and helped Francis build the ramp, and now Derek and Gavin need to do favors to help Julian? Is this, are you maintaining the similar ledger type of thing that?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not into that shit either, man. Like,
yeah, they had that whole
quantifying
same
something
creepy
like
vibe to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the old school way of, someone needs some help, you help out if you can, and maybe you get some pizza and beer out of it. That'd be great. And then you're done. And the next time somebody else needs some help or you need some help, you say, hey man, I could really use some, some strong arms, at a weekend or evening at some point, and people will pipe up, yeah, sure, hey, we'll help out. And that's what I like. And I don't like this ledger tracking that.
No. I agree wholeheartedly with that. And that's why I didn't say anything, but I started thinking about like all the things that Julian and I have done for each other over the years, and I'm like, I'm not going to let this turn into a dick measuring contest over who's done more for the other person. It's ridiculous.
Right,
and it's
right.
childish. And yeah, like Julian's helped me out before with working on a couple of my cars. We've worked on a few of my cars maybe two, three or four times. And first off, I paid him, and second off, I enjoyed working with him and hanging out and learning some stuff. And it was cool. And I've also helped him out. I mean, every time he's moved, I've been there. I've been there to help him move, which is no small feat when it's Elaine, Grandma, and Julian, and they're all three of them are hoarders, and they got
Oh, good
tons and
Lord,
tons of,
yeah.
of stuff. And I've been there, and I didn't complain, and I was uh, there in good spirits, and I was happy to. Not happy to do it, but I was very willing to do it. And
You, I'm going to give you huge marks for that because I went to help Elaine move once.
yeah,
Once. And, it was like planned like 3 weeks in advance or whatever. And I showed up at the house and I had, my big vehicle and all this, and I'm ready to help load boxes and things. Not a single goddamn thing was in a box.
wow.
Everything, all the dresser drawers were still full. The kitchen, everything was still in drawers, on shelves, in the cupboards. And I was like, Elaine, I did not come here to help pack.
Yeah,
I
came here
came
to
I,
help
I
move.
yeah, I came here to load and unload boxes. And I'm looking and I'm like doing the estimates in my head, and I was like, here it is, 9 o'clock in the morning. You're not going to be ready to put a box in a car or a box on a truck until like 10 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do this. I cannot spend the next 36 hours moving your shit. I was like, I'm walking. I need to go home. And I left.
You
And
told
that
her
was the
that?
last. Yeah. I mean, she was kind of upset, but it's like, were you actually, anticipating everybody helping you load? She didn't even have boxes.
It's insane.
And it's like, so somebody's going to go out, hunt down boxes, and then do all this. It's like, I'm sorry, but this was, maybe your weeks, your schedule got away from you, and you didn't have the time to prep and get boxes and all this. I could totally dig that. Then you should have called it off. And,
Right.
Right,
Right, because that's common knowledge and common courtesy. If you ask people to help you move, that you're ready to your shit's packed. You never ask people to help you pack. You ask them to help you move. It's just how it
right,
works.
right, right.
Crazy, but yeah,
Um,
and it's just what have you done for me? The audacity to say that. It's
I
absurd.
didn't. Yeah, that was
You know,
that was weird.
I don't
But
fucking
but
owe
there
you
again, I
anything.
mean, nobody perfect, and the boy's a little troubled. I mean, he didn't have the best, you know, upbringing and the most responsible person bringing him up.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I guess there can be some tolerance, but
right.
when it comes into the hateful, burn them all alive type of shit and all this, yeah.
Yeah, and then, and again, so much of what he was saying didn't make any sense. Because there was another thing too, where Derek and I were talking about it, and we're like, we have no idea what he meant, but he said, before I chimed in on on that channel, he said, well, 80% of the country has spoken, and look what we got. And
Yeah, what was that? I
I
didn't get what the 80% thing meant.
no idea. The only thing I can think was maybe he meant 80% of the country voted for Donald Trump, and we still wound up with Biden. Therefore, the election was rigged. It's the only thing I can think of that he meant, but I'm not so sure about that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Norley was trying to figure that out too, and she's looking at me like, "What does this mean?" And I was like, "I was kind of hoping you could tell me."
Right. So I don't think anybody knew.
Yeah.
Wonder if he had like a couple of. I wonder if he had like a few too many or something, and he was, reading some crazy alt right conspiracy theory crap, and he had a few too many, and he was just, I don't know.
Right, right.
Yeah, he's in the ultimate echo chamber though. He cannot comprehend anybody thinking differently than him politically.
Yeah, that has definitely become apparent.
And it's funny because I remember uh, it was right before Julian came back into the fold. I talked to Vincent when he came. He was here not this last Christmas, but the Christmas before Vince was, and I was telling him about how I missed Julian, and we're like brothers, and we grew up together, and I really miss him. And
Right.
I guess I kind of forgot that. And then shortly after that, by the way, Vince started talking to Julian. I think it's because I said that to him, and then all of a sudden Julian came back into the fold. And
Yeah, and that would make sense that it kind of prompted Vincent to, to see that and say, you know what, I bet you with some few, encouraging words, and I can appreciate Vince doing that.
yeah, me too, me too. Um, and but it just bums me out because then once I started talking to him again, I was kind of realizing like I guess it's just you know kid Julian that I miss, like him and I growing up together. Adult Julian, I don't care for. Um, and
Oh, right.
and it started at a young age because I remember um, Julian and my friend Chris and my friend Cameron all hanging out when Julian would come to stay the weekend with me in Belleville. And my friend Cameron is gay, um, and Julian didn't know that. And when he found out, I mean, he lost it. And he was only like 15,
What do you mean
and he
what,
lost his
he was
shit.
like, he was angry at him
He
or
was
something?
angry. He
Or?
was like, he's fucking gay. What the fuck? Was he gonna hit on me or something? Blah blah blah. Is he gonna try to have sex with me? And my buddy Chris looked at him and was like, "Hey man, yeah, maybe if you play your cards right." And and
Good
that
response. I like that.
yeah, and he didn't laugh though. Like he didn't think it was funny and laugh. He got even more mad and more upset. And Chris and I were just like, "Dude, what the fuck is your problem, man?
Oh my
Nobody's hurting
God.
you. Cameron's a nice guy. What's your problem?"
And I've kind of, I can say I haven't joked about it, but I've made, as a humorous anecdote and comment on it that, back in the day when Norley and I used to go, we'd go out more and go out with our friends and stuff. Well, a bunch of our friends are gay. So it was on occasion we would go to, like in downtown Royal Oak, there's a gay club that they like to go to, but it wasn't like a dancing club. It was more like a restaurant that had music in a small dancing area, and it was actually kind of a nice place to hang out.
Okay, gotcha.
So of course, we're there and stuff, and it is a known, gay hangout.
Yeah.
So on occasion, someone would walk up to me and be like, hey there, how you doing? Can I buy you a drink? And I'm like, oh, I'm good. I got a drink and stuff, and just so you know, you're barking up the wrong tree. I'm straight. And they're like, oh, okay, hey, no problem. And I get it, and they walk off and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel kind of flattered,
Yeah.
I
Yeah, right.
was like, how about that? Like, hey, Norley, I can hit both sides. I can hit both fields now.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like yeah, not that I'm interested, but it's just nice to know I have options.
Right, right. I can play shirts and skins, and we'd have a good laugh about it. And it was, it was cool, and it was no big deal, no harm. It's not like, the guys, it's not like they're commonplace to throw a roofie and drag you out behind the dumpster or something and have their way with you.
Right.
That's not how it works.
Right.
There's no fear, there's no anger to be there. It's a relationship, I don't get people's angry hang up. That's weird.
Yeah, he's super homophobic, and I don't know if it's just because of hate or if it's some insecurity thing with himself, sexual insecurity thing. Maybe it's both. I don't know. I'm not gonna pretend to know, but what's going on in his
Right.
head. But I just know that it's shitty. That's all I know is it's shitty. And it always, just it just hurt me too at that age because I was like, dude, this is one of my best friends, man. Like, not cool. You
Right.
have a problem with him with this right in front of him too.
Hey, so on a completely unrelated note, but I've had a really fucked up week this week.
Yeah.
So, started on Monday. Monday afternoon. I don't know if I told you or showed you, but I built myself a really cool desk.
You did show me.
Okay. And it's got the, the motorized, lift, so I can put it in standing position if I want to, or sitting position just by hitting, the button, right?
Yeah.
So Monday afternoon, I'm in a meeting with, coworkers and stuff, and my legs are feeling a little bit, crampy. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go into standing position, hit the button to rise the thing up, and stood up while it's, elevating. I had forgotten that I had moved a couple of things around on my bench, on my desk, and didn't check the clearance with the speakers that are bolted to the wall behind the desk.
Oh.
So, of course, the thing rides up, smashes into the speakers. I'm like, oh, shit. And I'm trying to push down and stop the desk from rising up because it's still got like another 10 inches to go. And people on the conference that I'm on, because my camera's on too,
Yeah.
as well as my headset, and everybody's kind of laughing like, dude, what the hell's going on with Troy? And so I'm like, I finally stopped the thing, and I'm like, I explained the situation, and they kind of laughed. They're like, oh my god, that sucks. Hope you didn't break anything. And I'm like, I don't see anything really damaged. It just got flipped over and all this. I can put it back, no big deal. I'm good.
That's good.
But then as we ended the call and stuff, I look, and the cable for the audio from the computer to the amp had gotten yanked out. It had gotten like stuck on a piece of the thing. I was like, oh shit, I gotta plug that cable back in. Grab the cable, look at the end, the 1/8-inch phono plug is snapped off on it. And I was like, oh shit, it really yanked on this thing and snapped the end. I'll drive up to Micro Center and get a new cable. So, it's a half hour one way for me to go to the Micro Center. Drive up to Micro Center, get a cable, come back, plug the cable into the amp, go to plug it into the back of the computer, and the port on the computer is shattered.
Yeah,
and I'm like, son of a bitch. I should have looked at that before I went and grabbed a new cable. And of course, I was using the built-in motherboard sound card.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's like, okay, I can't replace it. It's replacing the entire motherboard or whatnot. It's like shit. All right, well, I'll go back to Micro Center and I'll get a sound card. I got a Sound Blaster, sound card. Went up back to the Micro Center, got that, $100. Come back, put that in, power the computer up, nothing happens. I'm like, well, shit. Shut the power supply back off. Adjust the card. Maybe I missed something. Maybe there's dust on it. Whatever. Nothing. Plug it back in. Power it up. Nothing. Yeah, maybe it's a bad card. Unplug the card. Power the machine up. Nothing. I'm like, god damn it. I must have shorted something out. Or, blew the power supply or something. Crap. I don't have this stuff to bench test a power supply or the motherboard. So I was like, I got to take it back up to Micro Center and have them look at the computer and fix it for me or swap the power supply or whatever.
Yeah.
So third trip back up to the Micro Center.
Oh, all in one day. Yeah.
So now I'm getting on like 8, 9 o'clock at night, and get back up there, wait in line for 20 minutes at the service counter, and one lady that works at the service counter, she's talking to this, one guy for the entire time, telling him how to do updates on his Windows 11 machine and do all this kind of other stuff. And then as she's finishing up with him, she's like, okay, well, I'm going to write you up for a consult on the stuff, and we'll square up on that. At the same time, she's saying this to the guy and writing him up. This other guy comes up to the counter and is like, oh, I can help you, sir. And I was like, okay, cool. So I walk up and explain to him the situation. And, to make sure I get good help, I'm totally straightforward and honest. Yeah, this is what I did. This is what happened. Here the thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, well, we'll check your computer in and, we'll give you a call when we get to take a look at it. I was like, so out of curiosity, though, what's your turnaround time to even get this thing on a bench and look at it? Yeah. He's like, probably 2 leaning into 3 weeks.
Oh,
I was like,
damn.
I was like, dude, that's unacceptable. And he's like, sir, I can't make things go faster. That's our workload, And I was like, oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that you need to expedite. I'm saying I need to pursue alternative
Right.
options now. I can't be without a computer for 3 weeks. He's like, okay, I misunderstood. I was like, no, totally get the misunderstanding. The way I said that was wrong. So he looks, he's like, yeah, your warranty is, expired. The thing's 2.5 years old. Yeah, I dig that.
Oh, it's been
So
that long already?
yeah. I didn't think it was that long, but apparently,
What was the warranty
um,
for? 2 years?
probably a year, maybe 2 years.
Okay.
So, but so I'm like, see what we got for, case with the power supply and a motherboard, on the floor, and I'll just buy it. I'll go home and I'll swap my cards and drives into the, new machine. And he's like, okay, well, you know what? Before we do that, just for the heck of it, let me put it on the bench here behind me and power it up just to see. Maybe I can see a blinking, error light or something that will tell us something and all this. I was like, yeah, sure, by all means, go right ahead. He turns around, plugs that on the bench, plugs a monitor, plugs a keyboard into it, hits the power switch, it comes right up.
Huh.
And I'm like, what the hell? And he's looking at me like, yeah, really? And I'm like, you telling me that my computer just wanted to get some fresh air and go for a drive in the car?
Huh.
And he kind of laughs. A bunch of people standing around started to laugh, and I'm like, son of a bitch. So he shuts it off, turns it back on again. It still comes up, boots just fine. Take it home, and it boots up just fine. So I don't know what the hell happened, but it just needed to cool down and collect its thoughts for, an hour.
Yeah, I wanted to go for a ride. Wanted some fresh air. That's so weird.
Yeah.
Kind of freaky too.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I don't know what I'm doing with, a computer.
Right.
I did the right stuff to test it. I plugged it into a different outlet. I swatched out the power cables, put my ohm meter or my, voltmeter on the power cable to make sure, volts were actually getting into it. And I said, like I said, that's why I had to stop, because I don't have the equipment to actually test the output of the power supply. So at that point, I was at the extent of my testing equipment.
Right.
But yeah, zany.
At least it worked out for you.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I tried to give the guy, some cash, because he wasn't even going to write me up for a consult. And I was like, well, let me give you some, cash, because you have saved me a shit ton of expense and, time. And he's like, no, we can't. We have a strict policy, and we get in a lot of trouble if we accept, a tip or anything. I was like, oh, crap. Okay.
Huh.
So then I ordered some pole mounts for my speakers so that they could be attached to the bench and move with the bench instead of being attached to the wall.
Gotcha.
So I thought this would be cool. So I ordered those on Tuesday. They show up Wednesday. And it's supposed to be a kit with, 2 of them in it. They sent me the wrong part. It's one pole with this LED halo light thing for like lighting up your camera stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, crap, they sent me the wrong one. So did a return on that and said reship the correct one. So Wednesday then, the corrected package shows up. I open that thing up, and it's the right ones, except they're really cheap and flimsy.
Huh.
Like the pole that attaches to the clamp isn't even attached to the clamp. It just sets in this little collar on top, and you can pull it out by whispering at it loudly.
Yikes.
And I'm like, this isn't going to work. I can't have my speakers popping out of the thing and slamming around and stuff. This is wrong.
Right.
So started a return on that and ordered a different set that showed up last night that's much more higher quality, made out of proper, parts and stuff. And so I just finished mounting that and putting the speakers on it today.
Nice. Nice.
But it's like,
you're happy with the new mounts?
Happy with the new mounts.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just been this whole stupid saga going on all week. And it's like, I just want my damn speakers back.
Right. It's like when I'm trying to play a video game, and especially when I first got my PC, and I wasn't very familiar with Windows or PCs in general. And just the struggle, man. The struggle when I first went from console to PC gaming, it was like, I just want to play a fucking game. Why is there always a problem? There's always something wrong, or something's not compatible, something needs to be updated. I'm a lot better now though. Years later, I've tried to force myself to learn
but
things and get better, and then I'm much more comfortable now. And
but
I
you're
and
totally on the mark. It's like you get home and it's like, okay, I've got like an hour and a half before I need to help, Megan make dinner and all this kind of stuff.
yeah,
Cool, I'm gonna play this game in that hour and a half. It'll be awesome. And it's like an hour and 22 minutes later, and you're like still waiting for the patch to finish downloading and all this. It's like I just wanted to sit and play a goddamn game.
yeah. But I think it's worth it. Like over console gaming, I think you gain so much more than you lose.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. I much prefer the PC gaming experience over the console now.
Yeah, and it's funny when I'll play games that you can tell are um, designed for console and then ported to PC as an afterthought. Even if the games are released at the same time for PC and consoles all together, there's certain games where you can tell like, man, this was designed for console, and then the PC version is more of an afterthought port, and some
Right.
companies just aren't good at doing it. But then there's the opposite too, where you play some games where it's like, okay, this was designed for PC, and when you try to play it on console, it's a fucking nightmare.
Right.
Yeah, but I've been thinking about doing some. I wanted to build a new rig, but it just doesn't make sense to do it right now. GPU prices are still astronomically absurd, but they are
Yeah,
get, they
they've
are
come.
getting better.
Yeah, I was gonna say they've come down a little bit, but not to the comfort level yet. No.
Right, and just on general principle, I have a hard time paying quadruple digits for a GPU for one component.
Right.
It's hard to justify that, but I like to go big or go home. When I'm doing that kind
Right.
of thing.
Yeah, when you can get the case, motherboard, power supply, all the other cards, all the drives for 2 grand, and then spend 2,400 on a video card, it's like, God damn it!
Yeah, exactly. Um, but I did really well. When I bought this system I have now, outside of it being a small form factor Alienware pre-built, that's my only
Yeah,
really
yeah.
diss with it is the small form factor, so it's harder to work on and harder to upgrade over time. That's
Right.
really my only diss with it. Other than that, this is a really great machine, and I really future-proofed well. I mean, I got the 1080 Titan. That was Nvidia's flagship card for the 10 series, and God, that thing still kicks ass today.
Yeah.
It still has more VRAM than most 20 and 30 series cards. Um, I'm happy, and it's really getting me through quite a few years. I'm gonna stick with it for a while. The other thing too about upgrading to a new PC or building a new rig is there's got to be at least one game, hopefully multiple games that call for it that are like worth it. 'Cause my PC right now can play just about anything with epic graphics. Until like a game comes out like Arc 2 or Dune Awakenings maybe, something that really justifies, or maybe Starfield, something that really justifies building a new machine. I'm just not gonna do it if I don't really need to.
Right, right. And that's just it. Like I was saying, this thing's getting a couple years old, but it still cranks on everything that I play.
Yeah,
I'm not too worked up about it.
yeah, yeah. I am gonna do some small upgrades though this season. I want to get a third monitor. Um, I have the main ultra wide in the center, and then to the left I have my old 27-inch monitor. But I want to put on the other side of my ultra wide another 27-inch monitor. So I'll have the 35-inch ultra wide in the middle, and then on either side, 27-inch monitors. Um,
Oh, gotcha, gotcha.
yeah,
That'll be nice.
yeah, yeah. It's nice to have the game up on the main display, and then I can have whatever
Hmm.
web browser on one monitor, and then I can watch a buddy stream on Discord on another monitor, or map on this monitor, and web browser on
Right.
that monitor. You know how it goes. But
Yeah, because I'm doing the two screens, like you're saying, and I got, the main on the one in front of me, and then the side monitor has, Discord on it and, the web page with, the maps or the wiki about the game or the dungeon that we're running or whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Fun doing that. I like doing that. And then like when we're playing DayZ, I got a pretty big crew. where we'll all play sometimes, and there's such we all stream like when we're playing on Daisy. Everybody streams, and that way we can look at each other's gameplay and it makes things more effective. So if we're like in a town and we're in a firefight with some other guys, maybe my buddy's calling out like, I can see the sniper. He's in so and so building. And instead of trying to figure out where he's talking about, just look at his damn screen. And nice to have that.
Oh, so I just saw an email just reminded me of that from KCBS, the barbecue group.
Yeah.
So I'm doing some work for one of my company's sites down in Texas, and met this one guy there, Steve, who lives and works in our Texas location, and somehow we got on the topic while we were waiting for the meeting to start up, talking about barbecue, of course. And he said something about, first off, before this, he has this weird condescending way about him. Like he mentioned, he's like my age. He made some kind of reference to Scooby-Doo while we were down there.
Yeah.
And we have some younger people in the in the meeting, and he's like, he said like zoinks or something like this, and then he turns to young people and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, you're too young to know what that means."
He said that to you, that you're too young?
No, to these other people in the room.
Oh, gotcha.
And the one girl, she's she's probably like 25, 28 or something like this. She's in her high 20s. And she's like, "Steve, I know what Scooby-Doo is, for crying out loud." But this is what he does. He does this constantly of making this, "Oh, you don't know, what I'm talking about," type of condescending remarks. And it's like, dude, I do know what you're talking about. What the hell?
Right.
And he just constantly makes these things like he's upping himself because other people have never heard of this crazy thing that he knows. And it's like, do you really think like you're the only person that ever watched Saturday morning cartoons, for fuck's sake? Type of thing.
Yeah.
And so at this one point, this is after we had left, and we're, I'm back here in Detroit, and we're on a meeting, and we're waiting for the meeting to start. And he says something about this barbecue, joint in his area that does the best ribs ever anywhere in the world. That they absolutely do the best possible ribs. And I was like, oh, well, I'd love to, come down and try them next time and, put that to the test. And he's like, no, you don't understand. I know barbecue. And I know that these are the best in the world. And I'm like, Steve, just so you know, I'm a certified master judge for an international barbecue competition group that the KCBS that does roughly 3,000 some competitions a year. I'm one of their certified judges. I've had a lot of good barbecue. I've judged over 50 competitions. He's like, no, you don't understand. I know good barbecue. And a bunch of other people jumped in and were like, dude, he just fucking told you he's a goddamn expert. He's a master judge of competition barbecue. I think he knows good barbecue or not.
Dude. That's too funny.
It was funny as hell. And it's not like, I want people to kiss my ass, but it's like, dude, you can't tell me that I don't know good barbecue.
Right.
I mean, that oh, God, it was just, it grated me so bad.
Yeah, like, that's my wheelhouse, man. Come on.
Right.
That's my jam,
that's like going to a NASCAR driver and saying like, "Oh, you don't know how to drive a car. I know how to drive a car. I've backed out of my driveway, every day for 10 years. I know how to drive better than you."
Yeah. Look here. I don't know who's a major. Jeff Gordon. Look here, Jeff Gordon. I know how to drive.
Right.
It reminds me of. It's not quite the same thing, but there's an episode of Family Guy where Joe says something to Peter, and Peter says, "Well, Joe's like, don't do this or that, Peter. It's not a good idea." Peter's like, well, I wasn't going to, Joe. Like, good, don't, because you'd be stupid if you did. Okay, I get that, but I wasn't going to do that. Good, better not, because you'd be an idiot if you did that. He just kept doing it. It was just kind of reminded me of it.
Right.
I had a buddy that used to do that to me all the time. He'd be like, it's like he wanted me to say that I was going to do this stupid thing so he could ridicule me for it. And I'd be like,
Right.
dude, I wasn't going to do that, man. Good, don't. Okay, man.
We used to have this guy that worked with us back in the before time who was a one-upper.
Yeah.
No matter what you said, he one-upped it. And like the pinnacle one that finally broke me, we're sitting there in a thing, and my one buddy was talking about how, he went fishing, over the weekend. And I was like, oh, cool, went fishing. I haven't done that in a long time, and it was just, out on a boat out on the water, off a dock, what were you doing? He's like, oh, we just had a little, little recreational boat just out on the lake, and it was a good time. Just, casting and reeling them in once in a while. It was nice. And this guy walks up and is like, oh, I know how to do, real fishing and all this. I fish with dynamite, and we would go out on the lake, and we would throw in, quarter sticks or half sticks, and, pull the fish up and all this. That's how we fished. It's like,
that's so fucked up,
dude. Well, why? We're talking about hanging out with the sun on the boat and reeling in fish, and why are we now talking about throwing explosives in the water and stuff? What the hell, dude?
Yeah, it's almost not even a one-up either, because it's like you're basically cheating, at that point.
Right.
Oh man, it amazes me how many. Go ahead, Troy.
I was gonna say, this is the same dude that, like, a few months later, me and the one guy that I worked with there, we both from the same consulting house, and this guy, he comes in and hands us his brother's resume. And he's like, hey man, you guys should hire my brother. He's awesome. He'll show you guys, some, tricks and stuff and all this. He's that good. And he's standing there, looking at us as we're looking at his resume. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. On his resume, it says he worked at Lear Automotive in the networking team, during these, 2 years, like 1996 to 1990, or 1994 through 1995 or whatever. And he's like, yeah, he was awesome. He was like totally taking the place over and taught everybody there how to do networking stuff. I was like, okay, but I was in the networking team at Lear Automotive from 1992 to 1998.
Oh, no shit.
Whatever the time frame was.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was me and 3 other people. This name here was not one of the 3 other people in that team.
Yeah.
And he's still looking at me. He's like, yeah, but he's, I don't know, but he's awesome. You guys should definitely hire him. And I'm like, dude, hold on a sec. I pop my phone, put it on speakerphone, and I call the guy that was the leader of my team who still works there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, Ron, I haven't talked to you for a while. We got to get together, but real quick, do you know a guy named blah, blah, blah? Who? Blah, blah, blah. Never heard of it. I got a resume here that says he worked on our team with you and I while I was there with you for these 2 years. He's like, bullshit. No. That person, hang on a sec. Let me look in the employee records to see if that name even exists. I've ever been employed here as a contractor or an employee in the company at all anywhere. Looks at him, it's like, no, that name doesn't exist. So I was like, okay, we appreciate it, Ron. And, I'll talk to you later. We'll catch up. And I hang up the call. And I look at the guy, and he's like, so what do you guys think? And I'm like, dude.
I think you're a fucking liar. That's what I think.
My friend grabs the resume, crumples it up, and throws it in the garbage can across the way. And is like, that's what we think.
Oh, man, that's funny.
I'm like, the fucking audacity. You get completely called out right then and there in front of you.
Yeah.
And you're still like, how about it, man?
You gotta admire
God,
his chutzpah.
dude, that's got some bowling ball sized testicles of brass for crying out loud to still stand there.
Yeah, and not be embarrassed either. He's just no shame in his game at all.
Right.
My face would be beat red if I got caught, and it's such a stupid lie.
I'd be like, and it came from his brother. It's his brother's resume. He's like, dude, I gotta have the conversation with my brother and correct this shit. Holy crap, man. Glad we caught this before it, got bad, type of thing. But he's like totally hip.
Oh man, that's funny. I remember taking a drug test one time, and just you kind of reminded me of it with that story. But I was taking a drug test for a job one time, and I knew my piss wasn't clean, so I got the fake pee, the synthetic stuff that you can get at like head shops and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And I heated it up in a microwave on my way to the Concentra and at a gas station, and I heated it up way too much. So
Oh shit.
so when I got there and gave it to her, it was she said it was like, something ridiculous, like 130, 140 degrees or something. She's like, "Yeah, your pee is like 140 degrees. You should be dead right now." I was like, "Oh, that's weird." Huh.
How about that? Sure your thermometer's not broke?
Yeah. Yeah, right. I didn't get that job, but oh well.
It was understood, you didn't have a place to argue, so
But I actually always keep, because I do edibles now and again, and I always keep one of those. And now that I know how to work them correctly, I keep one on me at all times, just to be safe.
right.
But I just thought that was funny. Now, actually, if I ever, because sometimes I'll go long periods without doing any smoking or doing any edibles, and I'll get a random drug test at work, and if I can use my own pee, I'm not afraid to do that. And I know it's clean. I always when they tell me to fill it up, Troy, fill up the cup, I always max it out. Like I bring it right to the brim. There you go.
Enjoy. Pass it around if you want, Well, there was a time a while back when I had to do the drug test, switching jobs and stuff. But it was after I just, shattered my wrist, and I had, the titanium plate installed and all that kind of crap. And they, had me on the pain inhibitor during the surgery. They gave me Percocets afterwards. And then I went in for the drug test. And afterwards, I'm like, oh shit, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So I'm like sending an email to the hiring manager, the HR department, everybody else saying, you're going to see all these drugs on me. Here's the prescriptions that I have for them. Here's the thing about, the injury and all this. So like I caught it ahead of time and let them know, and everything went fine. But
that's good. That's good. Yeah. Megan just got a new job. Actually, speaking of drug tests, she had to take one for her new job that she just got last week, and it was kind of scary because she stopped smoking over 2 weeks before she knew she was going to have to take the drug test.
Mm-hmm.
And then the day before, she bought one of those home drug tests just to be safe and see what the results would be. And she totally failed. She still had THC in her system, and we were
Oh, damn.
like, "Whoa!" After almost 3 weeks of not smoking, it's still in your system. It's crazy. And so she was like kind of freaking out, and this job is really important to her. And so we went and got her a plastic bottle of that whatever synthetic stuff, and I explained to her how to use it, and we went over. I went over with her like every possible contingency and every possible scenario that you might run into when you go there. Because one of the things that made it more complicated was when she went to go get her drug test, she also had to do a physical. that made things a little more complicated as far as where to hide it and things like that.
Oh,
Um,
right, right. Interesting.
yeah, so we kind of I played out every possible scenario with her. What are you gonna do if you have to do the physical first? What are you gonna do if the drug test is first? Blah blah blah. And anyway, it went well, and she passed.
Now, are there things you can do to like naturally help clear it faster?
Yeah,
Because I know, like drinking, lemon juice and stuff like helps get your liver and stuff working faster or more efficiently or something. Is that?
I didn't know about that one, but I know that niacin is something that you can drink to help mask it, to help mask any drugs, but you have to have like a lot of it. I don't even really know what niacin is. I just know that it's an ingredient in like every energy drink.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, but the other thing you do, I think the best thing you do is just drink so much water beforehand that you get to your pee to the point where it's just totally white. It's just totally clear. I mean, not white, but it's totally clear.
Right,
And
right. So diluted. All.
yeah, it's so diluted that they won't be able to pick anything up. The problem with that is a lot of places, if your pee's too diluted, they won't accept it. But at least you won't fail, and you can draw out the process more.
Gotcha.
Um,
So where's her new job? What's she doing?
oh yeah, that's right. Still the same thing. She's doing, she's resourcing humans, um, but for a different company now, in Toledo, and I already forget the company's name now, but they do similar things to where she worked in Ann Arbor. She worked at Xtang in Ann Arbor, and they built truck bed covers. Um, and this place builds like what is it? Some kind of Jeep accessories, Jeep front ends for Jeeps or something like that. Yeah, I don't remember. But
Okay.
obviously she doesn't do that. She resources the humans. That's what she does.
Right.
But she's making way more money. She went from what was it? She went from like 55 to like um 70, what is it, low 70s, I think.
Oh, damn. Nice.
So not too bad. Making more than me now. If we keep going back and forth on who makes more money,
Right, right,
and now she makes more. Not that I care, but
right. Well, when Norley and I, when we first got together, she was making like 10, 15 grand more than I did.
oh really?
Yeah. And of course, she's older than me. So it had this whole, we were all joking about it because it had this whole like, cougar vibe to it,
Yeah.
type of thing.
uh,
Um, but then, when I left that place, that was the New Horizons, the computer training company.
okay.
And when I left there, that was when I, started to do, the consulting, type of gig. And I almost doubled my salary when I left.
Wow. Wow. But when you say this New Horizons did computer training, is
Yeah.
that what so they trained you on computers, or that's like
No,
that's
so
what?
well, that's what they do. So you go in there and you take a computer class, like how to use Word or, introduction to computers or how to use, they get into some of the server side, shit, how to use, a Windows server, web server, how to build a web server, stuff like this.
Okay.
So it's a company that does.
You weren't taking the classes. You were working there.
I was working there. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
I was the guy that loaded all the computers every night because to keep them safe and sanitary, we wiped every computer every night in between classes so that
Okay.
everybody that came in, they got a fresh computer that had never been touched before, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was my job. I worked from, roughly, I think I usually started at like 6 p.m. and worked till about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, that's a odd schedule.
It was whatever it was that was just after all the classes and people left from the day classes or the evening classes. Like the evening classes ended at like 6 or 7 or something like that. So as soon as those people were done and they were kicked out of the building, that's when I went through and started wiping all the computers and rebuilding them. And there
Gotcha.
were 30 classrooms, roughly like 25 computers in each one. So I loaded like 500 computers a night every night.
Wow. Wow. Holy shit.
And that was where the consulting came in. Is I got good at writing all these scripts and stuff to make it all automated, and it had a whole menu system that would pop off of this one floppy, and you would pick what class it needed to be in there, and then I had it all automated where it would build the OS, install all the software, and set it up, and then I would come back, remove the floppy, and the computer was ready. So I was attending this high-level technical class because we could attend classes for free. I was attending this high-level technical class for, at the time, Microsoft's like automated system for deploying mass software and stuff.
Okay.
Basically doing what I do. And what was funny is the software is so new that it didn't run right. So we're in this class, and all the labs that we're trying to do are all failing. Nothing's working right. We had 10 test machines in the classroom where you're supposed to push down a load to and all this, and it's like out of the 10, no 2 were the same, and none of them worked.
Jeez.
And so we're laughing about it, and the guy that's my lab partner, who's an actual person that paid to be there, he's like, "Oh my God, this stuff sucks, and we desperately need to be able to do this for the company that he works for." It was Detroit Edison.
Gotcha.
And he's like, "We've got to be able to go, we want to redo our sites and stuff, so we're going to use some automated software to rebuild a site, but we need to do it like overnight. We need to rebuild, a site and stuff so that people can come in the next morning and work." He's like, "We were hoping that this would be the thing. This is not going to be the thing. We're screwed." And I'm like, "Well, I kind of already do that with my own custom built stuff." And his eyes perk up, and he's like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "Dude, I reload this entire building every night, about 300 computers every night. And I reload them all with all their different application loads for the classrooms and stuff. That's what I do. I work here." And he's like, "Holy shit." And this was like on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So Tuesday or on Thursday, he comes in with his hiring manager, like brings him in, and it was like, "Talk to this guy." And we talked for a few minutes, and he's like, "Okay, I'm going to do some paperwork. I'm going to make you an offer." And he went back, and like Friday morning, he came in or, sent me an email and made me an offer. And like I said, the salary was double what I was making.
Wow.
And I went in and told, my company, it's like, "Hey, I'm done." And they got pissy with me. They were kind of shitty, and all this. Like they tried to, they were really dishonest people that run New Horizons. They were pretty shitty, underhanded folk.
Wow, really?
So about 6 months prior, they took all of us in all the IT people. They took us in a conference room. We were all on the same thing that we could attend any class we wanted to for free as long as you did it on your own time.
Yeah.
And most people that didn't work because most of the classes were taught during the day, and everybody worked during the day except me.
Right.
So I was attending, a shit ton of classes, and I believe that's why they did this. They drag us all in the conference room, and they present this contract that we have to sign that says that if we leave the company, we will pay back full market value of any classes we have ever attended.
Whoa.
And, a bunch of people raising their eyes like, "Holy crap, I guess I can't take any more classes." And it's retroactive. So any classes that they have taken in the past, they were on deck to pay for. And a bunch of these people were pretty upset. And I'm like, "Holy crap, dude, I've attended now like $30,000 worth of training because I was taking one after the other because I could do them during the day and I worked at night, so it wasn't any big deal."
Right.
And I'm like, if I leave, I'm going to owe these assholes like $30,000. And I was planning on taking more classes, which I did.
Yeah.
So they made this whole thing, and they said, "Here's your contract. You have to sign this. If you do not sign this contract, you are going to be immediately terminated. You cannot leave this room with this contract. You are not allowed to have a copy of it. And you're not allowed to talk to anybody about the contract, and you have to do this now."
Whoa.
And everybody was like, "Holy shit." And a bunch of people signed them and slid them down to the end of the table. I didn't sign mine. and I slid it down to the end of the table,
Uh-huh.
and they put them all together. So okay, everybody can go back to work.
Whoa, no way. And you
And
worked for
then,
another 6 months
uh
and
huh,
took more classes?
uh huh.
Dude, and then you left, and then did they try to get
So
you?
so on that day that I put it, I went to put in my notice, and they said they're gonna walk me out immediately. They're not gonna take the 2 weeks that I was offering. I was like, okay, great. I'll start my new job early then.
Yeah.
So they dragged me into HR, and the HR lady, she gets this like weird, snarky smirk on her face, and she's like, "Well, Troy, let's pull up how many classes you've attended and how much you owe us for these classes." And she brings up, the list because it tracks how many classes I've attended and what their value is. And I'm taking all the high-end certification classes. And she's like, "You owe us approximately 58 some $1,000 for all the training that you've taken." And I was like, "That's a lot of money." And I didn't realize I was taking that many classes. Wow. I appreciate you telling me. That's pretty substantial, to me to understand just how many of these classes I've racked up. This is interesting.
Yeah.
And she's like, "So we need to square up then, or you need to go back to work." I was like, "Well, we don't though. That's going to be the issue that I think we need to address now. Is I don't owe you or the company any money for those classes." She's like, "You signed the contract agreement, and you are on deck for this." I was like, break open this contract. I think you need to show it to me. I want to be clear of my legal obligations here." And she's like, "Okay, here it is." She still did all this snarky,
Yeah.
shit. And she pulls out my file and pulls the contract out, slaps it down in front of me with the whole, there look on her face. And I look at it. I was like, "Yeah, I didn't sign that." And she looks at the bottom of the page where the signature is supposed to be, and there's no signature on the line. And she's like, "Hang on a minute." And she goes and grabs, one of the owners. And he comes in and he looks at the contract, looks at me, and he's like, "You fucking got us. Well done."
Is that what he said?
And turned around and walked out of the room.
Nice. It's not that you got them. It's simply that they didn't get you.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like I saw a contract that I just was not going to sign because I didn't like the terms and I didn't like the way it was presented. And
I can't believe those idiots didn't look and make sure that you signed it.
yeah. Yeah, she didn't even, when she collected them that one day, she didn't even look to see that it was signed.
Wow.
I was like, "Dude, you're a fucking idiot, man. You should get fired for this."
Yeah. Maybe she did. Or whoever.
Right.
Wow, that's crazy. I remember being in high school, and I had got called down to the principal's office, and I had a flannel shirt on, and it had two breast pockets, and I had a big old bag of weed in one of them, and the principal was searching me. I don't know why he knew I had drugs on me, but he did, and he was searching me, and he took my flannel shirt thing. He told me to take it off, and he held it up, and he put his hand in one of the breast pockets of that flannel and searched it for drugs, and there was nothing in one of the breast pockets. And he searched the one that didn't have anything in it, and then he spun it around, and my heart was just racing. I was like, "Oh shit, I'm fucked."
Uh-huh.
And he spun it around, and I saw it too. I saw it. He accidentally put his hand in the same pocket again. And I was like,
God.
"Oh, I'm about to get away with this." And then he gave it back, never found anything, and I was like, "Yeah!" And then
Oh my God, dude.
And then after school, me and my friends got together and all got high.
But dude, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty funny. It was a great story to tell my friends as we were smoking the weed later.
Ah. That's flipping awesome.
Well,
I'm going to use that story. If you don't mind.
no, man.
I'll make it anonymous, but
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Hey, dude. Well, I need to get some sleep.
Yeah, same here actually. I didn't sleep well last night after I didn't see, Julian's text until like 1 in the morning when I was getting ready to go to bed, and
Right,
that's
right.
why I commented, and it got me kind of all riled up. I'm not too proud to admit I lost some sleep last night over it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I didn't know what was going on until my mom created the new group and said, here's the new group that we had, do. And I was like, oh, so what happened? And I was like, oh shit.
Julian sure is quick to
Right.
disown people, isn't he?
Seems to be his
His MO.
his thing there. Yeah, his MO.
He's just so he's disowned his mom before, like multiple times, and then he disowned the whole family
Right.
for the stuff, and then he comes back into the fold, and it obviously didn't take. So
Right, right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like if we were hanging out or something, if we're at a place and he's like, if you don't agree with me, I'm gonna leave. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Anybody's car blocking you? Is there,
Right. Right. Yeah. It's no skin off my teeth, man. Or no skin off my. Don't pay me. No, never mind. I don't really give a shit. It's whatever.
I seen what you're saying there.
Dude, like nails on a chalkboard, isn't it?
Dude, oh God. Even saying that just now, like my mouth feels weird.
Yeah. The instant you started talking about, you started saying something about it's been bothering me for a while. Things Julian's been saying, I was like, I know what he's gonna say. I know what he's gonna say.
Dude, you were totally in it.
Well,
Oh shit.
well, all right, man.
All right, dude. I'll catch you later, bud.
Sounds good, mighty.
All right. See you, man. Bye.
Yeah.